Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call the Assembly Committee on Judiciary to order. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod. Assemblywoman Cohen. Here. Assemblywoman Gonzalez. Here. Assemblywoman Hanson. Here. Assemblywoman Hardy. Here. Assemblywoman Kasama. Here. Assemblywoman Krasner.
Here.
Assemblywoman Marzola.
Here.
Assemblyman Miller.
Here.
Assemblywoman Wynn.
Here.
Assemblyman O'Neill.
Here.
Assemblyman Ortlicker.
Here.
Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong.
Here.
Assemblyman Wheeler. Chairman Yeager.
Here, please mark Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod and Assemblyman Wheeler as absent excused this morning. Everyone else is present, which means we do have a quorum. Good morning to committee members. It doesn't look like we have any guests joining us here in Carson City this morning, but good morning to those on the Zoom and to those who may be watching over the internet or on the legislature's YouTube channel. Welcome to day 96 of the 81st session of the Nevada Legislature. Before we get started with today's agenda, just a few housekeeping matters. For those on the Zoom, if you could please keep yourself muted unless you are speaking, and also if you could please remember to state your name in the event that you will be providing any testimony or answering questions this morning. Members, we do expect courtesy and respect in our interactions with one another. We don't always agree, and that's perfectly acceptable. We just need to make sure we're being respectful of one another, of the legislative process, and of our staff. And then finally, many members up here will be accessing multiple devices to access this morning's work session documents that are listed on the agenda. So please don't see it as a sign of disrespect if members appear to be looking away at times during the meeting. So members, that takes us to our agenda. As you can see, we only have a work session today, and we did send out a revised agenda letting you know that Senate Bill 95, which I believe was on the original agenda, has been pulled. So look for that next week. We just had an amendment come in a little bit late to be able to prepare it for today's meeting, so that was the reason that was pulled. But with that being said, we're going to just take the bills in order as listed on the revised work session agenda. And members of the public, you can find the work session document on Nellis. There's a complete document, and then each bill is listed separately with the work session document, so feel free to follow along that way. Ms. Thornton, I'll hand it over to you to start with Senate Bill 8.
Thank you, Chairman. Diane Thornton, Research Division, Legislative Council Bureau, for the record. Our first bill on work session today is Senate Bill 8. This bill was sponsored by the Senate Committee on Judiciary on behalf of the Nevada Supreme Court and was heard in committee on April 27th. This bill establishes provisions for the transfer of jurisdiction of a guardianship of a juvenile from another state to Nevada and for the recognition of a guardianship order for a juvenile that was issued in another state. It also authorizes a guardian appointed in this state to petition to transfer the guardianship to another state, and sets forth provisions regarding court orders that must be issued in such matters. And Chair, there are no amendments to this measure.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton. Any questions on Senate Bill 8 as detailed in the work session document? Seeing no questions, I'll take a motion to do pass Senate Bill 8.
Move to do pass.
Do we have a second? I'll second. We have a motion from Vice Chair Wynn, a second from Assemblywoman Gonzalez. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Everyone who is present voted in favor, and I'll assign the floor statement on Senate Bill 8 to Assemblywoman Cohen. We'll move next to Senate Bill 19. Ms. Thornton?
Senate Bill 19 was sponsored by the Senate Committee on Judiciary on behalf of the Records, Communications, and Compliance Division of the Department of Public Safety and heard in this committee on April 21st. This bill establishes provisions in accordance with federal law that allow certain qualified entities to obtain information on the records of criminal history of employees, volunteers, applicants, and other covered individuals of the entity who have access to children, elderly persons, or disabled persons. And there are no amendments for this measure.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton. Any questions on Senate Bill 19? A question, or would you like to make a statement?
Question.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. I guess the first question, is anybody online from DPS or from the records?
I am not sure. Assemblyman O'Neill will take a look. If someone is online on the Zoom from DPS, if you could unmute yourself and turn your camera on.
The question that I have is on the fees, is how much of that goes to the state and how much, if it goes over to the feds too, for the expense of processing fingerprints?
It does not appear that we have anyone from Records Division on the Zoom. Assemblyman O'Neill,
I'll call them then and talk to them, and so that was the question. I appreciate it.
and
Thank you, Chair.
no problem at all. Just so everyone knows, we don't have floor today, so these bills won't be reported to the floor until Monday. So, the earliest this could potentially get a vote on the floor would be probably Tuesday or Wednesday, so we will have some time to get those questions answered. Additional questions on Senate Bill 19? Okay, I don't see questions at this time. I'll take a motion to do pass Senate Bill 19.
I'd so move to do pass.
Do I have a second? I'll second. Have a motion from Vice Chair Wynn, a second from Assemblywoman Marzola. Discussion on the motion. Assemblywoman Hanson.
Thank you, Chair. Just so we can get some question, I'm going to be yes in committee, but I would like to get some of the questions that my colleague, Ms. Assemblyman O'Neill brought up. So yes in committee, but reserving my right. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblywoman Hanson. Assemblywoman Hardy.
Same. I'll vote yes out of committee.
Thank you. Assemblyman O'Neill.
Chair, I just got a text from DPS that they apologize for not being online. I'll get with them afterwards. For now, I'll be a yes and reserve.
Thank you, Assemblyman O'Neill. Any further remarks on Senate Bill 19? I have a ditto from Assemblywoman Kasama. Okay, I don't see further discussion. Again, the motion is to do pass Senate Bill 19 in its first reprint. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
I think we just had a nay from Assemblywoman Krasner. Let me just make sure. So the motion does carry, and I'm going to assign the floor statement on that one to Assemblywoman Marzola. We'll go next to Senate Bill 32. Ms. Thornton?
Thank you, Chair. Senate Bill 32 was sponsored by the Senate Committee on Judiciary on behalf of the Department of Corrections and heard in committee on April 15th. This bill eliminates the requirement that the Director of the Department of Corrections establish therapeutic communities for offenders with substance abuse disorders. Instead, the Director is required to establish treatment programs for offenders with substance use or co-occurring disorders. Additionally, the bill authorizes rather than requires the Directors to segregate offenders who are assigned to treatment programs from those who are not assigned to them. Authorizes offenders assigned to such programs to be taken outside a correctional institution or facility for treatment. And third, revises the required period of participation in a program of treatment or aftercare from 1 year to a minimum of 5 months for treatment and a minimum of 3 months for aftercare as appropriate. And there are no amendments for this measure.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton. Any questions on Senate Bill 32 as detailed in the work session document? I don't see questions, so at this time I'd take a motion to do pass. A motion from Assemblyman O'Neill. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Vice Chair Wynn. Any discussion on the motion? I don't see any discussion on the motion. Again, the motion is to do pass Senate Bill 32. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion carries. Everyone present voted in favor. And I will sign the floor statement on Senate Bill 32 to Assemblyman Orentlicker. We'll go next to Senate Bill 42.
Senate Bill 42 is sponsored by the Senate Committee on Judiciary on behalf of the Nevada Supreme Court and heard in committee on April 14th. This bill removes the requirement that the rules of the Nevada Supreme Court and district courts be included in the NRS and requires, instead, that the Supreme Court print these documents and distribute them in either pamphlet or electronic format according to statutory requirements. The bill also transfers from the state printing office within the legal division of the LCB to the Supreme Court the responsibility for printing and distributing the advance opinions of the court and the Nevada reports in the same manner. Funds generated by the sales of these documents are to be deposited into the State General Fund for the exclusive use of the Nevada Supreme Court. The bill also eliminates a statutory requirement for the Nevada Supreme Court to train district court judges on complex medical malpractice issues, and there are no amendments.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton. Any questions on Senate Bill 42 as detailed in the work session document? I don't see questions. Be looking for a motion to do pass. I have a motion from Assemblywoman Kasama. I think I see a second from Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong. Is there any discussion on the motion? Assemblyman O'Neill, was that discussion? Oh, sorry. So I don't see discussion. Again, the motion is to do pass Senate Bill 42. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Everyone present voted in favor, and I'll assign the floor statement to Assemblywoman Krasner, please. And again, members of the committee, if you're looking at an older agenda, you might see Senate Bill 95 on there, but that's going to be on next week's agenda, so we'll take Senate Bill 108 next.
Senate Bill 108 was sponsored by the Senate Committee on Judiciary on behalf of the Nevada Youth Legislature and heard in committee on April 23rd. This bill requires that instruction relating to implicit bias and cultural competency be provided to any person who is employed in the juvenile justice system and who has routine contact with juveniles in their work, including employees of regional facilities for treatment and rehabilitation. The impact of trauma and adverse childhood experiences on decision-making and behavior must be included in the training. Regulations governing the implementation of such training must be developed by the Division of Child and Family Services, and responsibility for providing the training rests with the individual's employer. The Nevada Supreme Court is authorized to provide by rule for training for any magistrate, judge, master, or employee in the juvenile court system who routinely interacts with system-involved juveniles, and there are no amendments to this measure.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton. Any questions on Senate Bill 108 as detailed in the work session document? Seeing no questions, I'll take a motion to do pass.
So moved.
That was a photo finish. We have our own version of the Kentucky Derby right here in Judiciary. I'm going to give it to Assemblyman Miller because I saw him press the button first. And I'll get... Assemblyman Miller will get the motion. We'll give the second to Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong. Any discussion on the motion? Assemblywoman Hanson.
Thank you, Chair. I wasn't here when we had the hearing on 108, and so I watched the hearing, and I'm yes to get this out of committee, but I just wanted to put on the record that, we do this already, but I am grateful for the new piece, which is the adverse childhood experience trauma portion. And I just want to, sometimes the narrative was concerning because there is great work that is done in the juvenile justice system in our state, and those individuals are very committed. And I think sometimes in these hearings, some really broad strokes can be made. And I just kind of took some offense at that and want to get on the record that I know that all of us here on this committee really respect. We know nothing is perfect, and we're looking to do our best to help systems be reformed. But in doing so, I hope we also have an appreciation for all those individuals who really are committed to the youth of Nevada. So as I said, I'll be yes in committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblywoman Hanson. Very well stated. I think we certainly agree that most, if not nearly all of the folks in the system are doing the best they can with what they have. And I think the hope here is with some additional training to make some of these matters a little bit more clear that we can hopefully improve, but certainly share your appreciation for those who day in and day out try to do the best they can with our juvenile population. Additional discussion on Senate Bill 108? Okay, I don't see additional discussion. Again, the motion is to do pass Senate Bill 108. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion carries. Everyone present voted in favor. I'm going to assign the floor statement on Senate Bill 108 to Assemblywoman Gonzalez. You are welcome. Just a few more to go. Committee will go next to Senate Bill 148.
Senate Bill 148 was sponsored by Senator Harris and heard in committee on April 23rd. This bill requires the state and local law enforcement agencies in Nevada to submit information regarding hate crimes to the Central Repository for Nevada Records of Criminal History monthly. The Central Repository is to ensure the information is provided to the FBI for inclusion in the annual Hate Crime Statistics Report and that the information is made publicly available. Any data acquired under the provisions of this bill may be used only for research or statistical purposes and must not contain any of the victim's identifying information. The bill also requires the Director of the Department of Public Safety to adopt guidelines regarding the manner in which this data is to be reported to the central repository, and there are no amendments.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton. Any questions on Senate Bill 148 as detailed in the work session document? I don't see questions. I'd be looking for a motion to do pass. We have a motion from Assemblyman Miller, a second from Assemblywoman Gonzalez. Any discussion on Senate Bill 148? Assemblywoman Hanson.
I'm a little chatty this morning. Thank you, Chair. Again, this is another bill that I didn't get to hear. It was heard the same day as the one before. So I watched the hearing, and certainly I'm a fan of Senator Harris, and I'm yes in committee. Again, it seems very duplicative to have this. We did the panic defense bill, which I supported last session, but I will be yes in committee, and thank you for this chance to put that on the record.
Thank you, Assemblywoman Hanson. Further discussion on Senate Bill 148? I don't see further discussion. Again, the motion is to do pass Senate Bill 148. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Everyone present voted in favor. I'll assign the floor statement on that one to Assemblyman Miller. That takes us next to Senate Bill 161. Ms. Thornton.
Senate Bill 161 was sponsored by the Senate Committee on Judiciary on behalf of the Sunset Committee of the Legislative Commission and heard in committee on April 15th. This bill eliminates the advisory committee to study laws concerning sex offender registration and transfers its duties to the Advisory Commission on the Administration of Justice. Any funds remaining in the committee's account are also transferred to the commission, and there are no amendments. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton. Any questions on Senate Bill 161 as detailed in the work session document? I don't see questions. Be looking for a motion to do pass. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion from Assemblyman O'Neill, a second from Vice Chair Wynn. Any discussion on the motion? I don't see any discussion. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. All present voted in favor. I'll assign the floor statement on Senate Bill 161 to Assemblyman O'Neill. And we'll take Senate Bill 332 next. Ms. Thornton?
Thank you, Chair. Senate Bill 332 is sponsored by Senator Scheibel and heard in committee on April 28th. This bill replaces current statutory provisions governing structured settlements wherein a payee transfers the right to receive payments for damages from a tort claim or workers' compensation claim to a structured settlement purchase company. These companies are required to register with the Consumer Affairs Division of the Department of Business and Industry and obtain a surety bond or other guarantee in the amount of $50,000. The bill also sets forth prohibitions against certain behavior by these companies and their employees and provides a private right of action to payees in the event a person engages in prohibited activities. The bill sets out filings a company must make and findings a court must make before the transfer can occur. The bill also sets forth the rights of interested parties after a transfer has occurred and the protections for payees. The bill applies only to transfer agreements entered into or onto after October 1st, 2021. There is one amendment to this bill. Jack Kelly from the National Association of Settlement Purchasers proposed an amendment that makes certain technical changes, and the amendment is on the following pages for your review. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton. And committee, as you'll note, we have Mr. Kelly on the Zoom with us. The amendment is probably the first time you're seeing the amendment, but I do believe it's technical changes to the bill. But we have Mr. Kelly present if anybody has questions on Senate Bill 332 as detailed in the work session document. So at this time, does anyone have questions? Okay, I don't see questions. You might get off the hook easily this morning, Mr. Kelly. So at this time, I'll take a motion to amend and do pass Senate Bill 332.
I would move to amend and do pass.
Have a motion from Vice Chair Wynn. We have a second from Assemblywoman Kasama. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, I don't see any discussion. Again, the motion is to amend and do pass. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion carries. Everyone present voted in favor. I will take the floor statement on Senate Bill 332, and thank you for being here with us this morning, Mr. Kelly. We hope you have a great rest of the day and a great weekend. Committee, that takes us to our last bill on today's work session, and that is Senate Bill 400. Ms. Thornton?
Thank you, Chairs. Senate Bill 400, sponsored by the Senate Committee on Finance on behalf of the Office of Finance and the Office of the Governor and heard in committee on April 16th. This bill revises the penalties for certain unlawful acts relating to weights and measures, public weighing, petroleum products, and the advertisements of motor vehicle fuel and petroleum products. The state sealer of consumer equitability is required to adopt regulations establishing a schedule of civil penalties for the commission of certain unlawful acts relating to petroleum products. Finally, the bill establishes procedures for an administrative hearing if requested by a person who is subject to such a civil penalty, and there are no amendments.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton. I think this was one of my favorite hearings in Assembly Judiciary because it was such a different topic area than we're used to hearing in terms of weights and measures and petroleum and all of that. So hopefully that refreshes everyone's memory of that hearing. Does anyone have questions about Senate Bill 400 as enumerated on the work session document? Okay, I don't see questions. I'd be looking for a motion to do pass.
And move to do pass.
Do I have a second? Have a motion from Vice Chair Wynn. We have a second from Assemblyman Miller. Any discussion on the motion? I don't see any discussion. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Everyone present voted in favor. I think I'm going to assign the floor statement to Assemblywoman Hanson, who probably has more experience in some of these areas than most of us do. So, committee, that takes us through the work session document. Thank you, Ms. Thornton, for preparing the document and for helping us through those bills this morning. Takes us to our final item on the agenda, which is public comment. We reserve up to 30 minutes for public comment at the end of each meeting. Public commenters will have 2 minutes to provide public comment. Public comment is a time to raise matters of a general nature within the jurisdiction of the Assembly Judiciary Committee. Doesn't look like we have anyone joining us here in the room in Carson City, therefore there is no public comment here. BPS, could we go to the phone lines to see if there's anyone who'd like to give public comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are currently taking public comment. To testify under public comment, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 556. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You may begin.
Anne Marie Grant, ANNEMARIE-GRANT. My brother Thomas Purdy was 38 years old when he was murdered by Reno police in Washoe County Sheriff's Office during a mental health crisis. Yesterday I talked about Stanley Gibson, who was a veteran. I'd like to mention, I spoke about Kenneth Stafford. He also was a veteran, and he was killed 7/11/2013 by Sparks and Reno police. Eric Scott was a veteran. He was killed 7/10/2010 by LVMPD. Rex Wilson was a veteran. He was killed 10/12/2016 by LVMPD. Owen Earl Barton was also a veteran who served in the Vietnam War, and he was killed on January 16th, 2020. What I'd like to mention about Owen's family is that his family was not only impacted by police violence not once, but twice. Owen's daughter, her 13-year-old autistic son, Lyndon Cameron, was shot by Salt Lake City PD just 7 months after her father was killed in Nevada by police. I just want to thank you all for your hard work. I'll keep it short today. Have a nice weekend. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment, Ms. Grant. We hope you have a nice weekend as well. BPS, are there any other callers for public comment this morning?
To testify under public comment, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, the public line is open and working, and there are no callers at this time.
Thank you, BPS. I will now close public comment. Anything else from committee members before we talk about next week? Vice Chair Wynn?
I think my mom is watching, and so I just wanted to give a early shout out, Happy Mother's Day to my mommy, and to all the other moms here on the committee as well.
Very, very well stated. I know we do have a number of mothers who are here in the room with us, so happy early Mother's Day. And I'm sure my mom's watching as well, so happy Mother's Day. And if you haven't received that card, I promise it's on the way. Anything else from committee members this morning?
It better be more than just a card.
It is. I was raised well. So I don't see anything else from committee members. Committee, as I noted yesterday, we have heard all the bills that we currently have in the Assembly Judiciary Committee. There's a possibility we could get some more bills next week, but we don't have floor today, so I think I can pretty safely say we are not going to have a Judiciary Committee meeting on Monday, and Tuesday's looking pretty doubtful as well. But we are going to have at least one, maybe two meetings next week for work sessions, as we do still have some bills we need to process. And so for those who are watching today, if we're waiting on amendments for your bills, could you please get those to us as quickly as possible? A week from today is our deadline to get bills out of the second House committee. So I'm sure we're going to have a meeting at least on Friday and probably one more during next week. So just stay tuned to your email in terms of when our next meeting will be. My guess is probably Wednesday, but we'll see what happens. So again, I hope everyone has a really, really great weekend. Happy early Mother's Day to everyone out there, and we'll see you back in this committee sometime next week. This meeting is adjourned.